You're listening to...
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock. The Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock and this is the Beer O'Clock Show. My name is Mark and joining me, as always, is my beer buddy Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing alright. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
This week we feature the Italian candidate in our Six Nations season, following the English and Irish beers from previous episodes. This week's beer is Krakatoa from the brewery Retorto, and we'll come to that in just a short while. Steve, how's your beery week been, mate?
It's been a very good beery week this week, I have to say. A couple of things that I want to talk about. Firstly, Rebel IPA, a new Samuel Adams beer, being released in the UK in June. It's being imported into the UK from by Shepherd Neame. So it's an American IPA brewed with all American hops: Cascade, Simcoe, Amarillo, Chinook, and Centennial. A really, really nice, easy drinking IPA. Not a great big dry hop bomb like your West Coast IPAs are. A lot more subtle in its flavours. Really enjoyed drinking that one this week. And probably the other thing to mention, which has been that the beer that has been all over Twitter, you would have literally had to have had your head buried in the sand to have avoided this in this last week. The chaps from Brewdog released their first Born to Die beer. So it was Born to Die 04/07/15. The concept behind these beers is basically that date that's on the bottle is the date at which the beer stops tasting its best. They've worked out when it's optimum freshness to drink, and so the idea is that you drink it by then. This is a massive imperial IPA, big dry flavors, really big sort of like tropical fruits in there. There's a loads of mango in there, but it feels like every craft wanker and their dog has been drinking this beer this week.
I have not.
Well, apart from you, of course, clearly, because you don't like double hop bombs, and you've gone on record a number of times to say that. What about you, mate? What have you been drinking this week?
Well, I was still getting over my lurgy from last week, so I didn't have that much. But we had a little guest spot on the Sips, Suds and Smokes podcast on Saturday, and we went through a few bottles with those guys, especially considering that we turned up and they thought we would have drunk them already and made our notes. So you and I quickly sampled 5 or 6 different beers in like 15 minutes while they were getting set up.
We do things slightly differently, don't we, mate?
we
drink while we record. These guys are pre-drunk, yeah. So we were definitely playing catch up.
Indeed, but there were some really nice beers. I don't know when that episode is going to be out, but check it out when you do. But the Founders beers, they've got a lovely range. You can't get them all over here, or not readily available everywhere. But I mean, the Rubaeus was a really nice, kind of like a raspberry sour type beer. Their porter, spot on. You had the Dirty Bastard, which you were raving to me about.
It was a really good old ale. Yeah. I mean, like you say, that we're not sure when that show is going to go out, but when it does, we'll make mention of it on here, and we'll put a link in our show notes so you can have a listen to the show that we did with the guys from the States there. But I certainly enjoyed working my way through those Founders beers, and obviously we're really grateful as well to the Founders rep in the UK who managed to get those beers to us as well to feature on that show.
Yeah, it was really kind of him. So, like Steve said, we'll shout when that episode is out. And that's about me for the beery stuff. I mean, I had an IHL warmer before we started recording that episode with Sips. But other than that, I've got loads of beer in the fridge. I'm going away probably tomorrow for a few days, so I'm sure I'll take some supplies with me, and I'll have more to report next week.
I should probably just mention as well, actually, there was another beer that I drank this week, and there was a tweet put out earlier on in the week that Firestone Walker beers had hit the UK shores, and not just their bottles, but canned Firestone Walker. Now, obviously, that set the craft community into a bit of a frenzy. I was lucky enough to be in Leeds when the cans hit Leeds, and I've just got to give a shout out to the guys from Little Leeds Beer House, who not only did they put me aside a few cans and a couple of bottles, but when they realised that I couldn't make it to their shop before they closed, they actually delivered them to the hotel that I was staying in. Now that is going above and beyond the call of duty, I think, in terms of customer service. So I just want to again just thank the guys from the Little Leeds Beer House for saving me those beers and making sure I actually got my hands on some of them.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you want, isn't it? Customer service like that. That's what's going to keep people coming back time and time again.
Well done, Little Leeds Beer House. Anyway, time for the news, I think, mate. You got some news?
Yes, mate. Lots of news again this week.
Here's your pips.
Extended pips this week as well to go with the amount of news I've got. Lovely. Okay, so you've probably heard us talk about Brewhouse and Kitchen in Islington before. They are opening a second bar in a few weeks' time. It's going to be a little bit further up in Highbury. It will open on the 22nd of June, which is Midsummer's Night, with a Midsummer Garden beer night. So much the same as the one at the Angel there. It's going to be a micropub, so they're going to be brewing their own beers on site, and they'll be branded with local branding that are relevant to the local area. Keeping with the London theme, Summer Brewfest is back this year from the 19th to the 21st of June in association with Barworks and Ubrew, and it will actually be taking place down at Ubrew on Bermondsey. Confirmed so far are Camden, Forpure, Gypsy Hill, Hamerton, Mondo, One Mile End and Orbit. You can check out all the details and tickets, summerbrewfest.co.uk. More in the events news, Siren have got a Sessions and Sours summer festival taking place on Saturday the 11th of July from 2 till 9:30 p.m. Tickets are available now from the Siren website. I'm not sure how much they cost, but for the price of the ticket, you get a complimentary glass and beer tokens to the value of £10. There's also transport provided to and from Wokingham Station for anybody that's a bit concerned about getting to Siren, because it is in the middle of nowhere. And then finally, continuing on the Siren theme, they are going to be on Friday the 19th of June. They are going to be at Cotteridge Wines in Birmingham for it looks like more than a tap takeover. It's a tap bar, shop, meet the brewer, all sorts going on here. So they're taking over all 14 taps in Cotteridge Wines with exclusive specials and core range beers, plus the launch of their Cotteridge Wines 20th anniversary special blended strong ale. And you can meet the team from Siren. So that's Friday the 19th of July, 1 till 8 p.m. If you want more information about that, best check out Cotteridge Wines. You can find them on Twitter at Cotteridge Wines.
Okay, and we're introducing a new segment that Steve just thought up today. It is... You tell them what the title is, mate.
Okay, so this is with. I've been racking my brains all day, and I couldn't come up with a smart title. So I went to Twitter, and two people suggested this title. So I'm gonna give them both a shout out. So Camden Town Ed, you can find him on Twitter at Edwin Matthew, and Mike Warwick, you can find him on Twitter at Welsh Mike. Thanks, guys, for both suggesting Hop Topic.
You're so proud of yourself.
I am now, yes. I just wish I had thought of that. So yeah, it's going to be a new segment that we're hopefully going to do on a weekly basis.
So tell the boys and girls what Hop Topic is all about and what we're doing this week.
Okay, so what we're going to do each week, we're going to have a chat about something that has either been hotly debated on Twitter in the past week, something that's come up in the news, or hopefully as this segment grows a following of its own, we'll get listeners suggesting things that they'd like us to talk about in Hop Topic. So we're going to start off this week with a discussion that I saw happen on Twitter last week. I got involved as well, as I do sometimes, and it's about Meet the Brewer events. So you're aware of the concept of a Meet the Brewer event, yes, mate?
Yeah. I'm not that sheltered.
Okay, just making sure. So there was the discussion was, should bars be charging for them? And if so, what's the most that you would pay for a Meet the Brewer event? Now, my view on this was very much working in my day job in an industry where we run events, and whenever we run a free event, we get hardly anybody turn up. So we try to always make a small charge for events, because when people commit financially to an event, research shows that they are more likely to turn up because they've got some sort of connection to it. So that was my view on this in the week, was actually, yes, I think Meet the Brewer events should be charged, but I'm keen to get your views, mate, on how much you'd be willing to pay for a Meet the Brewer event, and within that, would you expect any free tasters of beer in with the price?
I would say, well, it depends. If I'm going to pay money, then the option is either you pay to get in and you may get like a token for a free beer, a free half or a free third within, say if it's a tenner to get in. Or they could charge a little bit more and it's free beer all night. But I agree with you. Having a ticket price does commit people, and if they don't turn up, then it's not a complete waste to the organisers. So that's my take on it. How much the tickets should be? I would say £5 or £10. Get yourself a free third out of that, and the rest of it you pay at the bar.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question, was how much would you be willing to pay? And I think you've answered that. And I think we found recently, when obviously we went to the Brooklyn Mash at Beavertown, we paid something like $6.90 a ticket, which when those tickets were on sale, it didn't mention anything about there being any free beer in with the price of that ticket. We went along, and then all of a sudden there's a truck full of Brooklyn beer which they're literally giving away. So that was a bonus. And then obviously we got the scoop on the United Brewers Association as well, which we never knew was coming up. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy to pay a small fee to commit to an event. I think within that, if you've got the brewery's beers on and the brewers there, you could give out tasters of the beers, and you don't even have to give out a third, but you would expect at least to be able to give out a few tasters of what's on offer, I think. But I'm keen to know what the listeners think on this. So tweet us and let us know. Use the hashtag #HopTopic and let us know, would you pay for a Meet the Brewer event, and what's the most that you would pay? And we'll give you some feedback next week. And also, if you do want to suggest a question for Hop Topic, again, use the hashtag #HopTopic and send us a question, and we'll discuss it in this feature on a future show.
Right, well, let's get on to this week's beer, mate. From the brewery Retorto, the beer is called Krakatoa. It's an IPA, 6.5%, from Italy, as we said, brewed with American and European hops. I don't know which ones exactly. Oh, get the fruits off that.
Yeah, it's got a lovely aroma to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Citrus fruits, a little bit of pine in there, maybe a hint of caramel. Pouring very dark, so I would say from the pour, quite possibly you're looking at more the English style of IPA on this one, just from the colour, because it's kind of more on the brown side than you would get from the big golden American IPA.
Oh yeah, indeed.
Oh, but the aromas that are just spilling off of that.
Very clean aromas.
There's a little bit of lemon in there, maybe a little bit of orange, a little bit of marmalade coming through as well.
Right, shall we get into it, mate?
Let's get into this. I'm trying to remember back to the Italian season. What was the it was Chin Chin, wasn't it?
I've got no idea.
Drink.
Oh well.
Chin Chin.
Chin
Drink.
chin.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's very bitter.
Wow. That tastes
Bitterness
almost like
cuts
a red.
right through it. Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to go for something like that. It's there's almost hints of chocolate on that flavour, which is something that I've never really picked up from an IPA before.
Very slight, almost rye flavours, I think. like just a hint of them.
Yeah.
That lovely malt is coming through. The hops kind of just envelop the flavors rather than cutting through them. So, what flavors are you getting from this, Steve?
Well, I am getting a little bit of chocolate from it. I'm getting a little bit of caramel. There's maybe some dark fruits in there, maybe some raisins, a little bit of dark sugar as well. There's a hint of tropical fruits and citrus fruits going on in there, but it's a lot more of those darker flavors that I'm getting coming through, and there's a really long lasting bitterness on it as well.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like that mix of European. Like I said, I don't know what hops they put in when just doing my back of the website research, and it just says that it's European and American hops.
I would guess because of the dark flavors going on in there, there's got to be some English hops in here that are giving a little bit of the woodiness, a little bit of the earthiness that's coming through on that bitter finish. I'm quite intrigued to actually find out what hops are in here. You're definitely getting the American hops on the aroma. That the citrus fruits are coming through. A very good balance of hops in here, though. That's created a really interesting beer.
Yeah, there's light flavors coming back on the belch, which is always nice. Your mouth isn't burning with the hops. Like you were saying before, getting that caramel coming through a little bit, getting the biscuitiness coming through, kind of overlaying fruity sweetness as well, and that it's really weird that hoppiness. My mouth is being left like I've just drunk like a traditional English beer that's just slightly more hopped. But when you're drinking it, it doesn't taste like that. It's tasting like a fruity red with that kind of balance of American hops that are giving it that lovely fresh spice coming through, and the woodiness from, like you said, obviously some English hops that have to be in there because you're getting the twigginess, the earthiness coming through. It's interesting. It's an interesting mix.
It is a really interesting mix, and again, I think we guessed that this might be the case last week when we said we were going back to Italy again, because when we did do that Italian season of beers, I think we were quite surprised with every beer that we drank in terms of the flavours and the aromas that we were getting from them. And again, I just at this point would like to thank Andy from Beers from Italy, who supplied us with these beers to do tonight. We're very grateful to have been able to have got our hands on these, and this beer is now available on Andy's website, beersfromitaly.com.
Yeah, so what do you know about Retorto, mate?
Okay, so as opposed to last week when you asked me the question, I clearly hadn't done any research on the brewery. This week I preempted that question and thought I'd actually do a little bit of research. Their website's quite limited in terms of the information that's on there. It's and only recently, because I was researching this beer before we started the season, and a few weeks ago it was only Italian, the website, but it's now been translated into English as well. So what I've managed to find out is they were founded in 2011, so they're still relatively new. The name Retorto actually refers to a small village that's close to where the company is based. Now, I use the term the company is based there because these guys don't actually own a brewery. The beers are brewed at Birra Piacenza, so it must be contract brewing under the name of Retorto. If you split the name into re, it means king, and torto, which can be a dialectic way to say drunk. So from that, what they've done is they've created a fantasy world where each beer represents a different character within it. So within their core range, they've got a Scotch ale called the Daughter of Autumn. They've got a light beer, which is like a Belgian white called Latte Pisse. They've got an American pale called Morning Glory. They've got a Belgian strong called Black Lullaby. And then they've got a golden ale called Teen Spirit. And that's obviously in addition to the Krakatoa IPA that we're doing.
Yeah, what's interesting as well is we made note during our Italian season about the shape of the bottles, how they were all kind of very wine bottle types. This bottle is what anyone would expect to be a traditional American English style shape of beer bottle, but on their website they have more wine bottle looking bottles.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm wondering if they have different shapes for different markets, or if those bottles are slightly larger and that's why. But it's interesting.
It's very interesting. So and also, I mean, on the website it talks about awards that they've won as well. So again, they've obviously been recognised for the beers that they're producing. And if the other beers in their range are anything, if this is anything to go by, then the other beers in their range I could anticipate being as equally as good as this.
I was getting very, very faint hints of clovey yeastiness coming through a mouthful previously.
Just as it's coming towards the end, yeah. And again, I think that's something we spoke about last week, was that the Italian brewers, and we found this when we did that season, do tend to take inspiration from a range of countries. That they don't just look at one place; they look at what's going on in Belgium, in Germany, in the UK, and America, and they try to create their own twist on it. So you know, it may very well be that what they've done here is they've brewed a English-American hybrid IPA, and maybe they've used a little bit of Belgian yeast in there as well to give it that finish.
And that biscuit maltiness is really standing up towards the end as it's warming up a little bit. It's funny. It's a beer that's changing even within 33 or 330 mils, 330 mils, or however big this bottle is. It's changing so much from the initial pour to now, when it's just, you know, a finger left on the glass.
Absolutely. As it warms, it's almost a different beer now to what it was when we first started drinking it.
Yeah. So as Steve said, folks, you can get this beer at beersfromitaly.com. Check them out. Great bunch of lads. Any final comments on the Krakatoa from Retorto, Steve?
Very well rounded. There's a lot of interesting flavours going on in there. They all balance very, very well. It's a pleasant drink to enjoy, and it's one that changes with every mouthful.
Indeed, it wears its ABV very proudly pinned to its chest, 6.5%. You can kind of tell, but it's still very drinkable. Not a huge hop bomb like I was afraid it's going to be. It's more, imagine a traditional English IPA, but with blended American hops, and you kind of get the idea, but leaning also towards a more malty beer, more red style, even with very, very faint hint of rye for me, but only very faint. It's just a lovely mix of flavours, like you said. So that's the Krakatoa from Retorto. Stevie.
Yes.
E-Brewer competition reminder note.
Yes, it's your last opportunity to enter two of the three giveaways that we're doing with eBrewer. The first one, all you've got to do is head over to iTunes and you've got to leave a review and a rating. And anyone that's done that between when we first launched this competition a few weeks ago and the 31st of May, your names will go into a hat, and then we'll draw one random lucky person out to win a discovery box from eBrewer. The thing that we have discovered with iTunes, though, is obviously people have got profile names on iTunes that don't tell us who they are. So if you are one of the people that have rated on iTunes, we're going to have to try and find a way of finding out who you are to be able to send you your prize. Maybe you could just drop us a DM if you have rated, just to let us know. The second of the three giveaways is a simple Twitter competition. There are tweets on our timeline. There's a link in the show notes. Go in, enter. Again, you'll go into a draw for one of the eBrewer boxes. And the third way that you can win will close this evening in a moment when we reveal who's won the last prize this no more for this giveaway. And the four, or maybe five, who knows? I don't know how many I've chosen this week. They will all go into a hat as well to win a third box from eBrewer. So all the details for those three giveaways are in the show notes with the links to the places where you need to go to enter.
Indeedy. And something new on the website as well. We've got a newsletter now. So for those of you who don't do iTunes, who don't really do Twitter, you can sign up to our newsletter. We'll email you just once a week when our new show is out, and also let you keep updated on things like new competitions, our crawls that are going on, lock-ins, all that kind of stuff. It's strictly one email a week. So sign up on... Just go to the website. It's in the sidebar. Chuck your email address in, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Right.
It's interesting that you mentioned the crawls there, mate, because something we've not mentioned on the show yet is we do have another crawl coming up.
We do.
In a few weeks' time. So on Saturday, 27th of June, we are hitting Brighton for a crawl of what promises to be of epic proportions. And we are pleased to be being supported by Dark Star Brewery on that crawl as well, who are sponsoring some fun little activities around the route, and will also be providing commemorative T-shirts for anybody that makes it to the end of the route. So if you want all the information on that, just head to the website and click on the tab that says Brighton Crawl, and all the details are there.
Yeah, lovely afternoon walk in the sun, starting at 11. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Finishing around 6, so that those who aren't Brighton-based can get on a train and get home at a reasonable time. It's a lovely route, so yeah, check out the Brighton Crawl 2015 page on the website. All the details are there, including a map. And yeah, fun times. Right, Stevie.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, sir.
I assume that we do indeed have a prizes prize this week.
We do have a final entry for the Ibria Prizes Prize. There's no more competition. And I am pleased to once again say it's another first time winner of the Prizes Prize. So this has been pretty much every week now since we started this season. So it shows that people are up in their game. So those of you that got a little bit comfortable with your Prizes Prize winning last season, you need to maybe have a rethink at what you're doing. So this week's one goes to Marky Sharps, who I think has been taking inspiration from me and has been baking brownies with stout, and he posted a great picture of the brownie that he made, which has been made with the Bean Brothers Espresso Stout. So congratulations, Marky. You join the others, whose names I can't remember right now, in the draw, which we will make on next Monday's show for a box from Ibria.
Hey, and thanks again to Ibria for offering the prizes for that competition. And Ibria are one of the retailers who are offering 10% discounts for Beer Clock Show listeners. Go to our website on the Season 7 beer list page and all the details are there. The others are our old friends Ales by Mail and the lovely beautiful beers are offering 10% discounts. And Ibria are also offering 10 quid off the first box if you sign up to their beer club. Right, what's happening next week, Stevie?
Next week we continue with our Six Nations theme, and we're heading to the green grass of home with a Welsh beer with a French name, I think. It's called Pamplemousse from the Wayen Brewery. I'm hoping that's how you pronounce it. This is a pale ale of epic proportions. It's very highly thought of, and it was recommended to us by one of our loyal listeners and Instagrammers, Sparky Wright. So thanks for the recommendation, Sparky, and thanks up front to the Wayen Brewery as well for supplying us with the beers for next week's show.
Indeed, you can find us online at beeroclockshow.co.uk, on Twitter at beeroclockshow, on Instagram at beeroclockshow, on Untapped at beeroclockshow Steve. I'm on Untapped at beershowmark, and Twitter at beershowmark. Thanks again, Steve, for joining me this week, mate.
It's been the highlight of my week.
Until next time, bye-bye.